Hello, ladies and gents. Romie Reviews here. Please like, comment, subscribe. Now, this is, I guess technically it's part two or night two of the R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly saga. And this is where we talk about the sex tape. And when I tell you, there were so many things that I didn't connect the dots with, it was scary. We started off with, her name was Lisa. Lisa was the one who actually had sex with Sparkle's cousin, who was the 14-year-old. And it was just like, huh? And we also hear testimonies from R. Kelly's wife, Andrea. But let's start with Lisa. Lisa was saying that she, even though she knew she wasn't supposed to go and look at the sex tapes or go and touch any of his things, even though she was on it, she went and did it anyway, because once she figured out this girl was underage, she got very nervous and she also felt really bad. So what she essentially did was she went and she found the tape with her on it. There were other tapes with Lisa in general, but she wanted to make sure that she got the one with that underage girl and her doing the sexual stuff on it. And she took it, originally she hid it in the hotel room, and then she gave it to, I guess, one of his celebrity friends, as she was saying, and she thought that that was the safest move. But then unfortunately she realized it wasn't, and then things got bad because the tape was out there. Now, someone got the tape to, what was it, The Guardian? Or the Daily Sun? One of those news outlets, and they were brave enough to go and first look at it, and then they wrote this article. I'm not going to call it scathing because of the context of the article. It makes sense why it was so disgusting. So then it was out. It was out, and it was like trying to do damage control. But R. Kelly, apparently, he went and talked to Lisa, and Lisa said what she did. So then she said, okay, this is the person, or these are the people who I originally contacted and should have the tape. So then she went and tried to get it back. They went and tried to pay off the person, and he thought that they took a lie detector test. The guy who had the tape, he lied, and he said he didn't make copies, but he did. So then R. Kelly told him that he would, allegedly told him that he would go and pay this guy off a certain amount of money if you give us the rest of the tapes. And while all this is going on, Andrea, she was actually pregnant with their third child. She was pregnant with their third child, and it was bad because she was just so stressed from the relationship in general. Her baby didn't have a heartbeat. They couldn't find her son's heartbeat, Robert Jr. Why Robert Jr.? I'm not sure, but whatever. She was in a controlling relationship, so I guess it makes sense that she couldn't have control over what her son's name was. But anyway, it was this weird, crazy dynamic because, again, R. Kelly, for how sexual most of his music was and videos were, he also balanced it with stuff like I Believe I Can Fly. And then during the time frame, it was crazy because he also had, I'm jumping ahead. So then we get to Sparkle, because Sparkle, she eventually saw, first there were police at her family's house, and Sparkle was there with her brother and also her sister-in-law. And they were looking at the pictures, and Sparkle was disgusted. She was freaking out, like, "Oh my God, that's my cousin, or niece. Maybe it was her niece. Yeah, because if it was her brother's daughter, then that would be her niece. But that was her family, that was her blood." She was disgusted, and just looking at the context of the pictures, because there are also pictures, it wasn't just a video, and she was horrified. But her other family members were acting like, "Why are you freaking out? What are you doing? That's not her. That's not her." Apparently, Sparkle's niece's close childhood friend saw the tape as well, because the tapes were circulating. They were for sale. They were on websites, you name it, the tapes were there. And so uh, this girl, she felt so bad because she said she was so young and impressionable. And so R. Kelly took advantage of her. And so she wanted to do everything that she could to make sure that the truth went out. And I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Sparkle because they feel like, why did you bring your niece around this guy who was doing this stuff? But hindsight's 2020 because I'm sure a lot of people, especially people watching this show, can pinpoint certain family members or certain situations where they're in hindsight realize, why did I go and allow this, or why did I have this person over there, why did I take this child or take this boy, take this girl over there when there were like little rumors. I guess it's one of the things where they're thinking, okay, he's famous, people are just saying stuff to say stuff. She thought that it was controlled because she wasn't seeing anything directly. Essentially, a lot of people were living in denial. And unfortunately, Sparkle was one of those people. She was one of those people. And you even see on this documentary how they were showing the dynamics of the media going and almost covering for R. Kelly, like guiding him on how, okay, it wasn't you, right? It wasn't you. This isn't real. This isn't real. And remember, this is around when Wendy Williams was really becoming Wendy Williams. But again, they reiterate important things like people were in a stage of denial. People should have already seen the signs with Aaliyah, or at least have been more open to speculating that, oh, maybe R. Kelly is the type to do this. Maybe R. Kelly is the type to do that. But instead, they wanted to see the best, and until without a shadow of a doubt in their mind that someone who they love, someone made them feel a certain way about music and about them, it was proven, no, because R. Kelly was still selling music at this time. I was young when all this came out, so I didn't realize the timeline, the time frame. So anyway, we then get to, and I think we have to think about it. R. Kelly already had the Aaliyah situation, had the bull with Aaliyah, and now we go from that to, he also has these other problem with the tape, and yet he gets invited to a youth, or he goes to a youth choir who's happily had him as they all sang together, I Believe I Can Fly. That is power, that is influence, that is crazy. Now Tori talks about what was happening when she didn't know it at the time. She was being rushed out of state and no one was telling her anything. That was kind of par for the course at this point. Why did I say Tori? Andrea, par for the course, and her son didn't have a heartbeat, and she got rushed to the hospital. They called R. Kelly. He came down, but while he was on his way down, that's when the news broke about the sex tape. The news broke about the sex tape, and she was disgusted. She couldn't. She actually, her friend said that she dropped her newborn baby, and the baby didn't hit the floor. The friend caught him, but she was just in such shock. And then Tori was telling her story about, hey, I was in an abusive relationship, and the thing with abusive relationships is that, R. Kelly had the money, he had the influence, so she didn't feel like she would have been able to just go and leave, take her kids, and run without there being some major opposition. That's why things didn't play out the way that most people would think they should. And she was just saying, look, as far as also coming forward, because that's the other thing, why didn't you come forward? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? The other part to that was she was saying, hey, She had to make sure her children are good. She had to make sure, think about it, because now she's in a situation where people are going and saying these things about her child's father, which is fine. But in school, her kids are being picked on. No one wants to be around them because it's like, oh, your father, is a pedophile. He likes little girls. He is this and that. But you can see that Tori feels empowered now. She feels empowered as she should. Because now she's up from under him. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Hold on. Yeah, but Sparkle, I can definitely see her getting blackballed after, because the thing is, people still worked with R. Kelly while all this is going on. A couple of facts I'm going to get into are one of the things how the court case. First off, his allegations were used as commercial and media fodder, as a lot of things would be. But this situation was crazy because think about it. R. Kelly had, let's say in 2004, 2005, something like that, the Boondocks went into that episode. Dave Chappelle did the whole piss sketch, one of his like really legendary sketches. And R. Kelly has these sexual allegations with minors, and what he does next is insane. He puts out two of his biggest songs of his career. Step in the Name of Love, which people went crazy over, and also Remix to Ignition. Think about it. It's like two of his biggest records were put out after all of this came out. And those partially because people were in denial. During the court case, it was mainly black women who were supporting him because, one, they loved him. Two, they felt like this black man was being villainized. Three, the misogyny of it all, because they were blaming the young girls and their actions versus his actions, which is insane. Which is insane from what I would say, but then again, I've seen this so many times that I unfortunately I can't say I'm not surprised by that, because even to this day, people still blame, the young girl for, oh, well, why are you wearing that? You wouldn't have become a target. She's a target because she has a female reproductive organ. Period. Whether it's puberty or not. Period. The fact that she is a girl, young woman, adolescent, female, target. Period. Now, like I said, this portion is where Tori talks about leaving R. Kelly and how she took $2,500. That was all she had, and a car and her three children, and ran. And she even talks about how towards the end she talked about how with child support, he stopped that multiple times as a way of control. And we also have to remember, R. Kelly also even put out Trapped in the Closet. And I watched Trapped in the Closet. And I enjoyed Trapped in the Closet. And let me tell you, with the other songs I was talking about, they're definitely being played on the radio. I definitely heard it in my car. And I definitely moved. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is terrible. This is horrible. Instead of him being silenced, he was glorified. One of the things that also happened was the legendary interview with Torre. How Torre, he interviewed R. Kelly, and the first question was, do you like teenage girls? And R. Kelly said, well, define teenage. And Torre had to rebound quickly because he was telling us he couldn't make R. Kelly realize that what you said was wrong, that you messed up. So what he did instead was he played it off like, well, I think he said, because then R. Kelly said, well, 19 is teenage. And he was like, well, 19, 18 is still teenage. But no, if you're asking me if, underage, illegal, no. We're all looking at him like, Who are you trying to fool at this point? The courts? Because it can't be us. Now, around 2008, because his R. Kelly's court case was held up for 5 years, at this point, the girl, the victim, a part of this, she's of legal age. Her family hasn't had time to either have been coerced or, at the very least, scared to not pursue or to just try to bury this and pretend like it never happened, which a lot of families do, especially with situations like these. So when it came to the court case, Sparkle spoke up. Sparkle's niece's young friend spoke up, and the family, Sparkle's other family, did not. R. Kelly consistently said that it wasn't him, and his lawyers even said that it was his brother. So this is where we get the whole thing where Carrie goes and speaks to Wendy Williams, and Wendy was listening to the tape, Carrie was listening to the tape, and Carrie talked about how, the things Robert used to do, the weird things, the, inappropriate, the disgusting stuff, or stuff Carrie personally didn't approve of. And Carrie of today is saying that he lied. He lied about a lot of the stuff that he said in that interview because he was so pissed and hurt that his brother would allow his legal team to try and pin it on Carrie. Because, let's be real, even though they're brothers, they don't look alike. They don't look alike, and it's very clear that they're not the same complexion. They have different bone structure. It's not that person, and it definitely wasn't his older brother Bruce. But Bruce said that he was very upset with Carrie and said that, how could you do that to our brother, and how could you lie on our brother? And apparently Robert said that he would go and pay Carrie $100,000 to go and do the sit-down interview and tell the truth. And also, because there was another stipulation, as you can imagine, and also with telling the truth, he would not, and I repeat, he would take a record deal. I think it's like a 1-album record deal or something like that. And Bruce is trying to tell us that he thinks his brother is an idiot for not taking the deal. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? So my brother's team went and accused me of being the person on the tape. I could go to jail now, and there's no one to prove otherwise. Really? But apparently the main issue with the R. Kelly tape, the reason why legally it did not hold water, is because of the fact that because of not the statute, not any of that, for one simple reason. They went with the wrong, they went and pursued the wrong type of case. Because when it comes to a case like, the underage illegal video situation, for YouTube, I'm trying to play semantics. But what happens is, if you cannot prove without a shadow of a doubt that is the person, I think time frame wise and image wise, and have a correspondent, then it'll likely be dropped. Now, this was a jury of peers, even though the majority was majority white. There's still a certain level of misogyny, because long story short, R. Kelly, he was able to not be charged. He was surprised. His lawyers were surprised. All the news outlets were surprised. And to make matters worse, one of the issues was that one of the jurors, he was an older man, he came on and said, these young girls, they dress a certain way and they're acting a certain way. So again, his mind of misogyny is, it's the girl's fault for looking a certain way, for acting a certain way. Really? Really? No. And that's the main reason why this stuff has continuously happened, because you have people who really want to blame these young people for adult actions. No. Now we see one of R. Kelly's super fans, Geronda, and she still looks like a super fan to me. She still looks like, even though she was very hurt by the situation that she was in, she seems like to me she still felt a certain way about R. Kelly. Back to Sparkle. Sparkle talked about how she was also offered money to have a high six-figure deal to have a sit down interview with R. Kelly and the media, and to go and essentially recant her story. And she said no. And I believe her. And I understand that people feel a certain way, but again, we keep blaming the wrong people. We keep blaming the wrong people. Society as a whole has trained our minds to think that, okay, this person either has definitely done something or just some weird stuff, but but and that's how a lot of our minds were trained to think. Again, I'm not saying that we were right, because it's not right. I'm saying that that was the reality. When Sparkle was in the court case, she was asked, who do you think's on the tape? She said her niece, and she also said him right there, R. Kelly and Robert Kelly. And he put his head down, because I'm sure he was just like, Lord, this is going to be a nail in the coffin. Someone that knew him is saying that I'm the one who did it? Really? Clearly, I don't feel bad. That's probably how he was thinking. Now, outside, like I said, people were championing for him. They were saying that, it's happening to him because they're trying to take down a good black man. And you see what normally all this fodder, it's not for the women. It's always for the men. And not only is it always for the men, it's also for the men that have these horrible allegations. It's never something minor. Never. But it's usually something major. And even for the child support, again, people were looking at Andrea a certain way. I'm thinking, this is it. She is no longer with her husband. She can go and ask for child support. This is what the courts are. Anyway, so Geronda, she was young. I believe she was actually 14. No, maybe she was 16. She was 16 years old, and her mother was a single mom, worked all day, so she was able to skip school, and her mom wouldn't know. And I'm thinking, this just sounds horrible, but there's a lot of pictures of her there at the courthouse. She was there every day during the trial. She was there supporting him, being his sword and shield, loving him. And so then once the trial was over and the album was out, and just looking at the features, Carrie Hilson was on there. What was it? Tyrese, Robin Thicke, and The Dream. And again, Our City. And it just makes you wonder, like, what are some people thinking? That's what makes me always kind of side-eye business to a certain degree. But anyway, we have Geronda. She went and she over to his house because he called her and said he was interested, and he said bring a bathing suit. I said what? I said oh no. So she did, and originally she lied and said that she was 19. So I said okay, but he has a type, so he could know, okay, she's probably within a certain predators know. They know. Now, his house was amazing. Everyone says that. It was beautiful. She went there, and he told her about his past, about being sexually abused by someone on his block, a man on his block, and then by a babysitter. So there was just a lot going on there. And then we see Miss Info, who is a hip-hop journalist. She was saying how she, I guess, and other people were asked to go and sit down with R. Kelly to discuss his musical process. And she went because she felt like she had to separate her job. She had to separate how she personally felt, and she was able to do that because once she got there, she was like, what is going on here? And when she saw him and he was playing the piano, she said, my God, this man's a genius. And then when she left, she said, what did I just experience? And that is the effect. People leave their emotions on the door for people that they want to see the best in or don't want to accept the worst of, and they pick it back up. That's how you can see so many people say, "Oh, this is wrong," but the actions don't amount to that. Now, apparently, R. Kelly had Geronda go and strut around in her bathing suit and then told her to take a piece off each time that she did a turn or walked back and forth. And she thought it was weird, but she was like, this is R. Kelly, so she's going to do it. This is her idol. This is someone she really likes. And they started kissing. She felt uncomfortable, but she still went with it. And that's when she told him that she was a virgin. And he said, okay, well, that's even better. And then he asked her again, like how old are you? And she was honest this time, said she was 16. Or, and he said, I think he said it's something like 16 going on 19. Make sure you tell people you're 19. And I said, okay, we're done with part two. We are done with part two because, But Geronda losing her virginity to him, that was a lot. And of course, there was other abuse because she did talk about how in the house, in the compound, she wasn't allowed to go and do things. She had to ask him for everything. From the first time they spoke, he told her to call her daddy, and from now on to always call her daddy. And there's just a lot of psychological abuse and physical, because she questioned him about she was joking around with him about what was it, about a basketball team, and she got hit in the face by him, and he was like, no, this is the team I like, this is the team you like. I said, what? And then we get to the next person. We get to, I believe was it her mother? So Geronda had a friend named we'll call her Nika, because she was 17 and they bonded on MySpace. And again, R. Kelly does this whole thing where he gets the young girls to recruit other young girls, because of course young girls would know other young girls. And apparently Nika's mom was informed that, hey, do you know where your daughter is? And that's when, she went to the house with police. And she was saying it was terrifying because there was like a staple of girls going in out of this house, and a lot of them were young. And it's just like, what? But she was gonna get her daughter back. So that was it. Please like, comment, subscribe. I didn't think I was gonna talk this long for part two, but thank you. Stay tuned for part three.